Good afternoon. My name is Silja Schiller-Moumtzidis, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Zero Stray Pawject, founded in 2016, and Zero Stray Academy, founded in 2021. Next slide. Zero Stray Pawject focuses on implementing programs that prevent owned companion animals from ending up on the street or surrendered. We consist of a global team of experts in public health, law, veterinary services, governmental affairs, business management, and economics experts, and we design municipal level stray prevention programs that combat the root cause of stray dogs and cats. When we do so, we operate as a joint venture partner for municipalities, which means that usually the municipal employee in charge of companion animals or the vice mayor is a key integral part of our team who then executes the program. And this way also the municipality gets the recognition they seek and to hopefully get re-elected. And Zero Stray Pawject normally stays in the background to make things happen. We don't draw any red lines. We work with every stakeholder that is key to reducing number of strays, including, for example, the Breeder Association to influence change. We have many successes under our belt, but I will quickly touch on our pilot program in Aegina, where we reduced the number of stray dogs from around 200 to around 30 through a focus on prevention over 4 years. And recently, we also launched Zero Stray Academy, which is the first academy in Greece and to our knowledge, actually in the world, that trains municipalities, the police, and the judicial very soon how to reduce the number of strays systematically and sustainably. We're a 501c3 and a German eingetragener Verein, and our current focus is on Greece. We're highly focused on KPIs measurement and outcomes. And Theo and I, the founders of this nonprofit, are both business professionals with a combined 50 years experience working in global corporations. I worked for over 20 years in large pharmaceutical companies and latest in a pet care company, and Theo runs a strategy consulting firm. Now, all of our board members are unpaid volunteers that have other full-time jobs. And all of them put their free time into the cause of ending pet homelessness because we all believe that ending pet homelessness requires a systematic solution. Okay, next slide. Let's start with data. Greece is a country of 10 million inhabitants, 1 million owned pets, according to FIDIAF, and about 3 million stray and homeless pets, according to the 2021 Mars Ending Pet Homelessness Index. There are an estimated 2 million stray cats and 700,000 stray dogs and roughly 140,000 pets in shelters. Through the Zero Stray Pawject municipal database in Aegina from December 2021 with around 1,450 respondents, and before we started any neutering efforts, we know that of all owned dogs, there are around 70% of owned dogs that are not neutered. So we can assume that the rate of unneutered pets may be even higher across all of Greece. In a behavioral study that ZSP carried out in Aegina and Marathon, interviewing over 700 owners of dogs over 3 years, all of them who claim that their own dog had a litter, 55% claim that this was an accident and not intentional. Many owned dogs roam, are not neutered or supposedly kept in a contained environment, but like a garden with a fence. But we learned that despite of all the best efforts, many escape unmade and surprise their owners. Next slide. The hard truth is that every stray was once someone's pet or the puppy of kittens of someone's pet. Strays don't grow on trees, but are a man-made problem. The root cause of strays in Greece is overpopulation and abandonment. No shelter will ever be big enough to accommodate every stray, and there's simply not enough homes. We have a supply of 3 million homeless pets, and there's a demand of 1 million. There's a mismatch of supply and demand. Abandonment is possible because strays are anonymous. A dog that was just abandoned cannot tell you who abandoned him or her. And while neutering of strays is important to control the on-the-street population, it will not solve the root cause. So put simply, if we had a magic wand and would take all 3 million strays off the street today and into loving homes today, tomorrow we would have new strays if owners don't stop to overproduce and abandon. In Greece, we have a lot of rescue and TNR, but what was missing was a solution to focus on prevention. Next slide. Zero Stray Pawject's mission, therefore, is to solve the problem of strays by eradicating its root cause and intervene before a dog or a cat ends up on the street or surrendered. Next slide. Our philosophy is that we must shift the focus towards prevention. In Greece, all animal welfare is on the right, in the gray area. Rescue, DNR, running shelters, carrying out adoptions. But we are the only organization that really works on the whole level on the green part. First, we must understand how many pets there are. Then obviously enforcing microchipping and registering is key to reducing abandonment of adult pets. Neutering or DNA is key to reducing unwanted puppies or kitten. Now, to DNA, I need to say something. Greece is the first country in the world that legislated owners to mandatorily provide a DNA sample of their pet through a blood sample that is stored in the National Pet Registry and traces any unwanted puppies or kittens back to the owners, who then receive a fine. So it's just legislated in 2021. It's now implemented, and I'm very proud of this because this idea was born out of Zero Stray Pawject. So I'm very happy it was legislated. So further, number 4, policing. Policing is important. Animal welfare cannot control owners whether their pet is microchipped, but the police can. Number 5, administrative administration. By law, municipalities are responsible for strays, but often lack the knowledge. And we provide also KPIs, analysis, education, and so forth. Next slide. Until we started our program in Aegina in 2017, nobody played on the left promoting an entire solution. So let's go to our case study. Let's shift our focus to Aegina, which is our case study, our model island, an island close to Athens, contained environment with around 2,000 owned dogs and around 200 stray dogs. According to the local animal welfare that told us that there are around 200 stray dogs, and that told us they carried out a census in 2017. Aegina has 2 shelters, one that brings about 100 dogs to Germany every year. The shelter also runs large neutering clinics of stray dogs for over a decade, but the number of strays was capped consistently. Next slide. So what we did, first of all, when we started in 2017, there was a lot of animosity between animal welfare and the mayor. So it took us 10 months to really kick off the program. And in February 2018, we kicked it off. The first thing we did is we set up a municipal dog registry. By law, municipalities are obliged to have a municipal dog registry, but very few have one. So we actually made it possible that we set it up for the municipality of Aegina. Secondly, of course, if you have a dog registry, you need to fill it, right? So we tried various different things, what would help, what would not help. And we actually, we failed, we pivoted, we found out what really works. And what really worked in Aegina was to offer microchip subsidies, because we realized that especially low-income pet owners could not afford to go and get their dog microchipped. So thanks to a collaboration with the Tierschutzgesellschaft, we actually subsidized especially low-income owners to get their dogs microchipped. They only paid 10 euros instead of 45, and the rest was subsidized through us and through the local vets. During that time of microchipping, what happens is the owner needs to bring the chip certificate back to the municipality. And here's the joint venture coming back in, because Mrs. Aegina, who's the director of public health from Aegina, sat down every owner to fill in a questionnaire. So we asked questions, for example, is your dog neutered? If not, why not? Attitudinal things, and that were matched with owner and pet in the registry, which is very, very strong. Now, we also realized that every carrot is great, but only carrots don't really work. So we also have to provide a stick. So we actually collaborated with the police, and it took us 2 years. But after 2 years, Aegina was the first police force that formed a 2-person police force, went around the island and checked on owners, controlled owners, provided fines and also warnings and fines. And actually, we trained the police, and we also donated microchip scanners. And that brought the number of microchipping up to a level that was unheard of. Now, we still had the problem. So abandonment was now taken care of because the majority of owned dogs were microchipped and registered. But what about the puppies, right? So phase 2 of our program was we took all the data that we have, we clustered it into who said what. For example, people who said, I want to breed, they got a call from Mrs. Aegina saying, you're absolutely fine to breed, but make sure you have owners lined up. People who said, I cannot afford, we offered another subsidy program where owners only paid 10 euros for a male, 15 euros for a female instead of 200 to 300 euros, and could neuter their dog. And that was subsidized by Battersea Dogs and Cats Home and the Borosaki Foundation, our internal resources, and also the local vets. And that was very successful. So yeah, and then we did some other things. For example, we did some education programs in schools and so on and so on. But essentially, that was really a 360 program that we started. Next slide. So we also had some creative ways to educate the public because we wanted to make sure that everybody knows about it. We didn't want to hear, oh, I didn't know about it. So the first thing is that we designed and placed a large outdoor poster at the port of Aegina saying, did you forget something? You can see this on the right-hand side, on the top right-hand side, a dog looking at the ferry boat, very successful. Warning people when they leave Aegina, they can't leave their dog behind. We also had to drive behavioral change. We also had on the bottom, we had municipal dog tags that we designed and issued to all dogs that were microchipped and neutered. We had water bill inserts. So every citizen gets a water bill, and we had inserts from the municipality saying, hey, by the way, did you know that you need to microchip and register your dog and neuter, and we have a subsidy program, and so on. So nobody could claim they were not aware. Next slide. Data collection is very important for us. So, for example, we found out that owners who keep their dog for companionship were more likely to neuter their dog than those who keep their dog for hunting or guarding. So we could tailor our messages. And next slide. In a nutshell, through this comprehensive program, we were able to reduce the number of strays, as I said earlier, from around 200 to around 30 over 4 years. We managed to get 1,600 owned dogs chipped and over 50% of owned dogs neutered. And that drove down the overproduction and the abandonment. And yeah, we got all of a sudden a lot of demand from municipalities because it was unheard of, and also inside and outside. And obviously the local shelter continued picking up strays and getting them adopted. So we were really successful. Next slide. And then we brainstormed, how can we scale that success, right? Because we couldn't just multiply ourselves 331 times across Greece. Greece has 332 municipalities. So we decided to start Zero Stray Academy, which is the first academy to train municipalities how to reduce strays systematically and sustainably through a comprehensive 5-week intensive class. We also decided that while we have some of the knowledge, we don't know everything, of course not. So we invited 35 like-minded subject matter experts to participate. Every training course must be taken in by the municipal employee in charge of companion animals and the vice mayor. Otherwise, the municipality doesn't graduate. We also provide people afterwards to work with municipalities to implement the learning, similar to what we did in Aegina. And since founding in 2021, in September 2021, we trained and worked with 105 municipalities, and our target is 260 by the end of 2025. Next slide. The 5-week intensive training course is very comprehensive, from linking strays to economic prosperity, to explaining roles and responsibilities of municipalities according to the companion animal welfare legislation, how to access funding, of course, the importance of microchipping and neutering, as we already talked about. Sadly, we also often hear from municipalities that they believe the sole solution to the problem of strays is to build a shelter. And while we try to educate that this is just a piece of the wider puzzle and not a standalone solution, we do offer a high-level how to run a municipal shelter training as part of this training course. And then we have a follow-up training, which is like a week-long and intensive training how to run a municipal shelter. We also advise on foster programs and working with animal welfare if they really want to do something in that area. We teach about collaboration with the police, community engagement, how to work with schools. And most importantly, at the end of the 5-week training, we actually teach them how to write a 3-year strategy plan and operational plan. So we don't just let them off the hook until they show a plan what they want to do. Next slide. Our professors are the who's who in Greece, and actually also abroad. And one thing I'm most proud of, from the chief economic advisor to the prime minister, who explains the link between strays and a better flourishing economy, over to the president of the Union of Municipalities, who's also the mayor of Trikala and oversees all the 332 mayors and municipalities in Greece, over to senior leaders from the police, for example, a clinical psychologist who links animal abuse to domestic violence to explain why you have to take it seriously as a municipality, government officials, professors of universities, Supreme Court lawyer, veterinarians, behavioral animal trainers, animal welfare people, including 4PAWS, and even a guy who's amazing. He teaches how to keep handicapped dogs. All professors provide their time for free, and the academy is free of charge. And we don't charge anything to the municipalities, and the professors give their time for free. And we are really grateful to Battersea for funding us until October 2025. Next slide. A quick overview how we divide the regions afterwards. As I said, we have account managers with Lavrini, Spiros, Heliana. One is vacant right now. We will hire more account managers as we go along, who then take care of a portfolio of municipalities. And similarly to how we worked in Aegina, work with each municipality to implement. Next slide. The tools we use are scorecards. So if you can't measure, you cannot manage it, right? So we build scorecards of the 20+ mandatory obligations that municipalities must fulfill to be compliant with the law. From easy things like 5-member committee, over to do you have a vet that has a contract with the municipality, over to do you offer free microchipping and neutering for low-income owners as the law now mandates. Our account managers work with each municipality one by one, track their success from the scorecard. The score is then given based on the performance, and that is handed over to the Ministry of Interior, the Special Secretary for Companion Animals, Mrs. Marsha Dimopoulou, a position that was filled with a professor of our academy. And next slide. We also have some other trainings, as I mentioned, an intensive shelter training, how to run a municipal shelter, a stray collector training, and high demand. We want to avoid situations where strays are collected in a very bad way, so we offer that. Next slide. And then the second most important stakeholder group are the police. After our success in Aegina, we started to collaborate with the Minister of Civil Protection, Mr. Takis Theodorakis, who oversees all of the Hellenic police. We implemented a lot of change for the sake of time. I just want to make one point. We just signed an MOU to train all of the Hellenic police about animal welfare matters a year ago. And it took us a year to align the content. And now we kicked it off. Now, as of May 2023, there's compulsory training of all the Hellenic police carried out by Zero Stray Pawject professors. And I think that's unheard of. Next slide. The professors for the training are leading police directors in Greece, but also people from abroad. For example, we have the chief prosecutor of child abuse from New York, who's participating in this, linking it back to animal abuse, a crime and terror investigator expert who used to work for Interpol, and others to help to teach the police officers. As I said, it's the first compulsory training. And personally, I have not heard of a private entity that's signing an MOU to teach all of a country's police force, which is, in my opinion, a massive achievement for our team and a milestone for ending pet homelessness in Greece. Next slide. There's a third stakeholder group that is important in driving systematic change, and that is the judicial, DAs, judges, prosecutors. Now, we have finally a good law, but the judges and DAs don't yet follow it. Too many times over the past 2 years, abusers and criminals got no or lenient sentences, which makes law enforcement useless. We started to form relationships with the president of the Judges Union across Greece and hope we can start soon. Now, for the sake of time, I want to wrap up here. We have 2 more slides, but we are out of time. Please ask questions. I'm excited to hear all your questions, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to present this presentation. Thank you.